just working with our company, you're going to get to work with a lot of bright individuals.
Everyone is open and ready to help you, and definitely big on advocating for making sure that you succeed and reach your potential.
Everyone's goal is the same, to make the best products that we can for our clients and make sure that it is everything and more that it could be.
What's kept me here? Our culture. We're genuinely a very great group of people. Everyone's just always willing to lend a hand.
When I have a suggestion or a concern and I voice it, leadership actually hears me.
As a consultancy, every person has a role and has something to bring to the table. There's just a lot of opportunities here if you're up for the challenge.
Jump on board, be part of the fun ride, because we're going places.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
You're good at making big announcements. We're good at your insurance.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
Aspen Creek Grill, we are a from-scratch concept with comfort fresh food. You can expect a world-class experience on a great budget. We've got incredible specials, great service. Today's dish that we're going to highlight is going to be our Aspen Blue Sirloin. It is, again, our premium Black Angus certified beef, and we top that with a blue cheese crust. Again, everything that we do here is made from scratch, and it's no different from our steaks. We hand cut all our steaks in-house. So our team back there is just an incredible team. Everything that they do, they take so much pride in. They put a little bit of themselves into everything that they do over here, especially since it is a made from scratch concept. We want everybody to come, visit us, enjoy some great food with some great service. Bring your friends, bring your family. Come have some great food, have a great time with us with some of the best comfort scratch food.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Vertner Electric Incorporated provides professional commercial electrical contractor services to Indianapolis and surrounding communities. Locally owned and operated for over 30 years, our knowledge and experience make us the perfect choice for all your commercial electrical contractor needs. Contact us today.
Thanks to you. standing with us. You are truly making a difference in the lives of our neighbors in need.
Can't make it to the game? We've got your back. Just go to www.IndianaSRN.org and tune in to all of the live action or go to our on-demand service and relive your favorite moments.
Sports fans, welcome back to Game Time, to pure spirits, to pure sport. Welcome back to high school sports.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Game Time. This is Indiana high school sports. This is your IHSAA.
Hey, Indiana, let's clear the air about vaping. Glue, rat poison, paint. We all know these products contain poisons like formaldehyde, arsenic, and lead. And these are just a few of the chemicals you'll find in e-cigarette vapor. Let's clear the air, Indiana. Don't puff this stuff. Visit don'tpuffthisstuff.com to join the fight and spread the word.
At first, me and my mom were struggling. I was trying to pay the bills and trying to take care of my mom at the same time. When I first heard that I can get paid for taking care of my mom, I was kind of skeptical because I had been doing it for so many years without pay. That's when I reached out to Passion to Care. I read all the reviews and I saw that they were #1 in the field. Passion to Care has really, really changed my life. Right now, I take care of my mom 24/7 thanks to Passion to Care.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
Greetings and good morning for the city's east side. A beautiful baseball field and brand new at that at Scecina High School. We bring you high school baseball today on Indiana SRN. It is brought to you in part by the Morales Group, building better futures one story at a time. Also today brought to you by Aspen Creek Grill. Why go anywhere else for delicious food? By Burtner Electric, providing quality electrical services in central Indiana. Boilermaker 374, we're second to none in quality and performance. Passion to Care, behind and beyond home care, where passion meets purpose. Clean Slate, inspired innovation that moves business forward. Piper Logistics, from warehousing to transportation, and everything in between. By the IndianaSRN sports page, wall-to-wall sports news every day. Check out IndianaSRN.org and click on the sports page tab. And today's game brought to you in part by the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference. Watch the best Division III baseball on IHSAA TV, where you always have a front row seat. Troy Darengowski, Jim Barber, great to have you with it today on a very cold and nippy April day. It is spring officially. Temperatures with a wind chill probably around 35 degrees or so. And the Scecina team that played last night must turn around and play this morning. Well, Coach, you've done that before. What's that all about?
For the coaches, they don't mind. For the players, they don't like it. It's too early in the morning if you played the night before. But you were mentioning the weather, and that could be a little bit of a factor today as well. I know it's sunny, but it's very deceiving. As you said, the wind is blowing. Every game we have done at Scecina, the wind has been blowing, and it's blowing in. So the baseballs are not going to go out of the ballpark, even though as big as a ballpark this is, it would take quite a shot. But everything's going to hang up in the air for those outfielders and the infielders, and we have seen that wreak a little bit of havoc for these players in the games we have done so far. But from that other standpoint, it being as cold as it is today, grip on the baseball for the pitchers will be a certain factor. I know they've gone through that already a little bit this year early with the rain and the cold weather we had, but now today is a little bit of a different story. But from that standpoint, too, you got to be ready to hit the baseball today, and that's going to be the big key for Scecina. Got to find a way to get some offense generated this afternoon.
As a team, batting just 201 and just two hitters above the 300 line. So, and we'll see those two hitters right off the bat pretty much. Let's talk a little bit about the field. Back in December around Christmas, they're putting sand and rubber down. White bags of rubber weighing 880 pounds each were brought to the stadium. Then on the 22nd, the lettering began. The bases were being put in, sand and rubber being spread. And by March 11th, first day of practice, it is wonderful to look at and to be on.
It is, and they're not done yet. They still have some things they need to do, which is exciting because I know they're excited about what is happening here and just being able to multi-purpose this facility. You have the football practice field. You can play softball here. You can hold other functions here. You don't have to worry about the rain as well. So you're going to get your games in as long as you can get the teams here and get things going. So I know it's just a great, great place to be, and I know we're happy to be here as well.
Well, in fact, there will be 3 games here next week as the city tournament begins. Both Chittard and Scecina are the hosts, and as Heritage Christian would have it, they polished up Purdue Polytechnical during the week 10-0, and they'll be back to see them next Saturday as well as the city tournament begins. Heritage has had an interesting week. Off the 10-0 shutout against Poly prior to that, a 10-1 win over Covenant Christian, but then a loss coming in the last inning on IndianaSRN. They carry a extremely hot hitter in Ryan Williams, who's their left fielder. Williams is aiming for 11 or 12 hits in a week.
Wow.
And Dan Ambrose, their manager, was saying before the game today, that's a season long for some people.
Season long for me, for sure.
Uh-huh.
And they are hitting the baseball well. Don't let that record deceive you, because when you look early in the year, you know, they lose to Ron Colley in the first couple of games, and then they go to Tennessee, and they play 4 games down in Tennessee, which that is great as a baseball player. You get to go somewhere warm and play some really good baseball teams. So they come back, and by the time they lose to Bishop Chittard, they're 2-5. And all of a sudden now they turn things around in their last 6 games, 5-1. I think the biggest key win was that win over Bishop Chittard in the second game, but then they lose to Covenant, as you said, probably a game they felt they should have won that game and come back and beat Purdue Poly. So lately, and that's what counts now, start winning baseball games here as we get toward the end of the season.
Dave Gandalf is the longtime manager for Scecina, 68 graduate of Scecina. He is in the Indiana National Hall of Fame, actually the National Hall of Fame as a baseball coach. His wins are over 800. Facing Dan Ambrose, who is now piloted Heritage Christian for a number of years. They are meeting at home plate. Dave on the left side, Dan on the right, and Dave's history has been amazing. You know, he's probably going to be coaching and managing, I think, till he's about 100.
Well, you know what? That's how you keep programs established like they have done over the many years, when you can have, and we have a lot, not just in baseball, but football, basketball, softball, where coaches have been around a long time. They know how to win. And I tell you what, now you have a facility like this, kids get excited about baseball. And as we've always talked about, it really starts with the youth and the young kids. You can get involved in the game of baseball or any other sport. And then pretty soon, if you keep them in the system, when they get into your system in high school, they know what to expect. You know what to expect from them, and it builds a winning tradition.
Scecina could use a win today, though. Record of 2-10. That's most uncharacteristic for a Gandalf team. And in fact, a 1-1 loss last night, as you mentioned, the quick turnaround after losing to Monrovia, a team they beat actually during the regular season, the earlier part of the season, along with Lutheran. But it's been a tough year so far. They've been hammered in a few games. They've been tight in some others. What might turn this around for the Crusaders?
Well, as you said, the one thing they've got to do, they've got to hit the baseball today, and they're going to face probably a pretty good pitcher that will mix things up for Heritage Christian. But every game we have done, they've given up a big inning, and that's really concerning that you can play so well, 2 innings, give up 5, play well for 3 innings, give up 3 or 4 more, and they don't have the type of offense, at least at this point in the season, where they're hitting the baseball with regularity, getting guys on base, scoring runs, and that is a concern for this Scecina team. As you mentioned, batting average wise, we're talking down in the 200 range, and that's not going to win you many games. So if they're going to stay in this game today, make sure that you give yourself a chance to win later in the game. Don't give up the big inning.
Most amusing story for Dan Ambrose's team with that 10-0 win on Thursday. He said, it wasn't one of those blowout games, in his opinion. Got a couple runs here, a couple runs there. When they reached the 10-run limit and the 10-run victory by the 5th inning, he wasn't aware the game was over. One of his assistants told him, that's it, game over. I said, what do you mean? And, of course, there's a rule in Indiana that if you reach a 10-run deficit by the 5th inning, that's it. So he was pleasantly surprised that things were done. And he had a lot of praise for Eric James' team at Poly, because his feeling is that eventually Poly's going to be pretty good.
Well, bottom line is you can have a night where everything fits together. You might even be 2-10, but when you can put some things together, no matter what sport it is, you can be competitive, and I think that's what he was referring to for Purdue Poly, is that you never know who you're going to run into that night. A lot of it comes down to pitching. If you can get solid starting pitching, you're going to be in good shape.
At left field, number 19, Ryan Williams. At second base, number 23, Alex Jackson. At shortstop, number 8, Tyler Allemeyer. At first base, number 30, J.P. Olson. At center field, number 6, Blake McDonald. At right field, number 9, Carson Willett. Pitching, number 20, Will Ambrose. Catcher, number 21, Trip Long. At third base, number 1, Colin Kotka. Heritage Christian is coached by Dan Ambrose. And now, for the Scecina Memorial Crusaders. At shortstop, number 4, Max Douglas. At right field, number 9, Dominic McKiernan. Pitching, number 2, DJ Mendez. At third base, number 21, Brady Ray. Designated hitter, number 11, Caden Logan. Hitting for number 8, Zach Plunkett. At first base, number 22, Henry Weiler. At second base, number 5, Will Battles. Catcher, number 0, Keaton Nolan. And at left field, number 20, Keegan Ray. The change line for Heritage Christian, designated hitter will be number 30, J.P. Olson. The Scecina Memorial Crusaders is coached by David Gandalf. Please stand and join in prayer.
We'll come back with first pitch live today from Scecina on IndianaSRN.
Gracious God, we thank you for bringing us together today in the spirit.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
Well, I think your words, if you mind me borrowing them, Troy, were what time's kickoff based on the weather we have today. But it is baseball. It is spring. It's what the major leagues face a lot in the month of April, and it will get warmer in about a week. It'll be up to the middle to upper 70s. But right now, Heritage Christian ready to go to work, and David DJ Mendez is on the mound. He is very much their best pitcher. He is also one of the best athletes, plays a number of sports, football and basketball. Headed to Wabash next year with a GPA of 3.80.
Well, we watched in the games we have done. He's an excellent athlete, as you said, and he played down at third base. Great arm, and just his defense alone kept him in some of the games that we had done already. So now we're going to get an opportunity to watch him throw. Has an ERA under 4. You really need to mix things up today. Try to keep Heritage Christian off balance. That's going to be the key. Try to keep him off base because, as we said before, scouting report already is teams try to run on Scecina, and this is a team, Heritage Christian. When you start throwing out some of their numbers, these guys at the top of the lineup, we're talking about almost looking at a video game type atmosphere because their numbers are that good from a hitting standpoint. So if Mendez is on today, he gives Scecina a chance to win.
Facing Ryan Williams, then Alex Jackson, Tyler Allemeyer, the shortstop, J.P. Olison bats in the 4 spot, then Blake McDonald, Carson Wilhite, who pitched the other day against Covenant, Will Ambrose, who will pitch today for the Eagles, Trip Vaughn, the catcher, Colin Kopka is the third baseman. Dan Ambrose, longtime manager, will coach at third. Matt Turner at first, and Gary Vaughn, who is the father of the catcher, Trip Vaughn, will be the bench coach today for the Heritage Christian Eagles. Record of 7-6, 2-4 in conference play. Although this is not a conference game today, as you match up Circle City with the Indiana Crossroads, and we're ready to play. And here comes one of the hottest hitters, Troy, in all of Indiana high school baseball. Just a smoking bat right now. Ryan Williams, who had 3 for 4 the other day against Poly, and then 6 of 9 in 2 games against Covenant.
Great leadoff hitter, hits from the left side, as you see, and if you get him on base, you can really get things started offensively.
Heritage nearly had a chance in the other game to pull out a victory back-to-back against Covenant. Williams was standing by with runners on base. They didn't get to him, and as a result, game ended, and Dan Ambrose brought it up to him today. I said, Ryan was standing by to get another hit. He said, oh, man. He said that ball went in the dirt. Previous hitter, I thought we got a chance, and then Williams, because of a fine defensive play, never got a chance to hit. He's ahead on the count. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, as a hitter, when you're standing on deck and any chance you get an opportunity to get another hit, you bet I want to go up there and get another one.
Yes. He came very close to putting one over the fence to start the Heritage batting order in an earlier game on Tuesday afternoon. And right now he just he sees the ball as big as it can be. 2-2.
I love the way he fights that one off. And the one thing you'll be really aware of today is just how hard Mendez throws. And we watched him play third base, and there are times when you thought he was no way he was going to get the runner at first, and he just has an absolute gun. It might be the harder thrower they're going to see this year.
Tried to get the corner here, did not. It's 3-2. Ryan Williams leading off, to be followed by Alex Jackson, who is the second baseman. Got him on strikes. That's a huge start against one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball in the state of Indiana. Wow.
Yeah, give you a lot of confidence when you do that. And the one thing that we've always learned over the years is if you're a pitcher, don't try to always pitch around everybody. If you got a good fastball, let's attack the strike zone. And that time he went on the outside corner and did a great job getting Williams.
Here's Alex Jackson batting in the second position. Alex wears number 23. Against Poly the other day, 1 for 2. Couple of runs batted in, a stolen base, a walk, and a hit batsman.
You know, Jim, the one thing about Scecina pitching, too, that we've noticed this year, it isn't always the walks they've been giving up. It's generally just giving up a lot of base hits.
Yes.
So control has actually not been really much of an issue.
It's not been helped by the fielding either, has Mendez, because there have been 30 unearned runs against Scecina, and that's, well, you're a former coach. That's a lot.
It'll drive you nuts. I mean, it will just absolutely drive you batty because, you know, bottom line is there's a lot of defensive work going on every week in practice, and when you come out and commit errors, it's really a killer.
Good pitch there to even the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Top of the first, no score, and it's nice to have you along wherever you may be peeking in today here on Indiana SRN. Short left field. And at the last moment, a diving catch out and left by Keegan Ray, who might have been battling the sun, and maybe, Troy, some of his fielders as well.
I tell you what, we thought, again, the way that the sun is today, generally it's always behind them by the afternoon. In the morning, they're facing it. So you battle the sun, you also battled the wind, and that was a great job making the catch.
So 2 up and 2 down here in the Heritage Christian first for Tyler Allemeyer, the shortstop. Good off-speed pitch by Mendez, who not only is a pretty fair basketball player, one of their top scorers for the Crusaders the past year, also a good quarterback as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That one in the infield could be 3 up and 3 down. Wynn's got a hold of it. Shortstop's got it. Nice play by Max Douglas. 3 up and 3 down for Heritage in the first inning, but hold everything. He barely dropped it.
Oh, boy.
Thought he had it. I was a little premature in the call. That'll be an error. And that has been the one thing that has hampered Scecina this year, although that one was challenged by the wind.
Well, and what was interesting about that is you notice where the shortstop went all the way over in front of the second baseman. At some point, I know the shortstop's generally the captain of the infield, but I would rather have my second baseman call him off and probably make that catch.
Inning stays alive for J.P. Olesen. Batting in a cleanup spot, wearing number 30. Olesen, pretty fine pitcher, headed to Otterbein next year. Committed back on January the 3rd.
Well, here is where now Mendez will have to do a good job holding the runner on. Again, we've seen teams run, and get themselves into scoring position against Scecina, and that's where they generally find themselves getting in trouble.
Nice lead by Allemeyer. Speaking of the potential of running, let's see if he goes here after the first pitch, and he does. Got a good jump. Should be out of the inning, though, are the Crusaders, and a throw from Will Battles to Henry Weimer. So that is 3 outs. To the bottom of the first we go in a scoreless start.
We'll get to the bottom of the first. Heritage Strix is Scecina Royal tied 0-0.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Indiana SRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
Burtner Electric Incorporated is fully licensed and bonded electrical contractor for your protection. Our electricians are available 24/7 for service calls and specialize in electrical service and storm damage repair. For more information, give us a call today.
Max Douglas will lead off the Scecina first, followed by Dom McKiernan. Then DJ David Mendez, Brady Ray will bat fourth. Caden Logan, the DH, is fifth. Henry Weimer, first baseman, bats sixth. Will Battles will be seventh. He's the second baseman. Keaton Knowlton, the catcher, is eighth. And Keegan Ray, who made a nice play in left field, will bat ninth. A reminder, you can unleash the power of passion. IndianaSRN, always a front row seat. Contact us at sales@indianasrn.org for a sponsorship package to maximize your brand and exposure. So, no harm for Scecina despite the two-out error, and I guess that's a good start, huh?
It's a very good start, simply from the standpoint you got Williams, who's hitting well over 400. You got Jackson, who's over 400. Allemeyer got on because of the error, but then you get Mendez to come back, get Olsen to ground out, and all of a sudden you're out of the inning. So what could have been what we have seen over and over at times for Scecina, make a mistake, turns into a big inning, they're out of it now, chance to get some runs on the board.
Well, Ambrose, you're getting a chance to watch him throw right now. He's a junior, bats left-handed, throws right-handed, and Ambrose can get it up to about the 70-mile-an-hour limit. Needs to locate his pitches, according to the head coach, Dan Ambrose, and his second pitch has to be a strike. So if he gets behind here, that might be a problem for Heritage Christian.
Does have 8 walks in 12 2/3 innings, so that's kind of a concern. And again, get ahead of the hitters and then force ground balls.
Max Douglas takes a fastball for a strike. Max hitting .370 on the year, 10 hits in 27 at-bats. Good change there, 0-2.
You know, many years working with Steve Sakasitz, who's the head coach at Earlham College, turned that program around, won a couple of HCAC championships, always taught his pitchers, you know what, we're not going to dance around hitters, we're going to attack them every chance we get.
Waste one there, 1 ball, 2 strikes. You and I will both be witness to the Heartland Collegiate Baseball Tournament coming up in Kokomo in a few weeks, and the schedule is rather hardy, four games a day.
Yeah, it's a long day, but it's a beautiful ballpark. As you see Douglas caught looking on that one. Just a great facility. I know the people in Kokomo and the Jackrabbits, they love what they're able to do there, and it's just an absolutely beautiful place to play. Much like this, a little bit bigger, of course, but just gorgeous.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Number 2 hitter in the Crusader lineup is Dom McKiernan. Dominic, the right fielder, fouls off the first pitch. For the season, batting .269 with 7 hits and 26 at-bats. 3 runs batted in. He has been hit 5 times, so we'll have to watch his stance. He is close to the plate, and therefore he is in that area where he can get a baseball tossed at him and get on the base. As a coach, did you like your hitters, to be close to the dish or not?
Well, I think it kind of depends on your comfort level as a hitter. I always, when I played, I was not that close, but some guys love it up there. I think it just really is whatever your preference is. Now, if you can battle off that fastball that's on the inside corner of the plate, that's fine. If you can't, then you're going to have a real difficult time when those pitchers come inside. Always taught for a lot of hitters, you're going to go low and away or high and inside. So, again, just depends on what the scouting report is as well.
1-2 pitch, grounded to shortstop. Tyler Allemeyer with a throw and got him by a step. 2 outs in the Scecina first, and the number 3 hitter is David DJ Mendez, the pitcher.
Well, this guy can hit. There's no doubt about it. Plus, he's got beautiful shoes.
That's got a lot to do with it.
I know. Keith Myers would tell you that's how good he was. He had good shoes, but take another look at this play here.
Allemeyer, usually you have your best gun at shortstop, and he just had to lean a little bit to his right and come in quickly, and with the glove and throw, 2 outs. Well done. So here's DJ with the, what do you call them, lime shoes, maybe? Lime-colored shoes?
Yeah, lime. You know what they always said, of course, when we played, they just gave you the old Chucky Taylors and said, go play. But nowadays, if you wear that, you have to know how to play, see? And Mendez does. I mean, bottom line is he just, as you said earlier, just a great all-around athlete. Love to have him on your team. Not only you mentioned how smart he is, just a good young man.
Headed to Wabash next year and excited about it. He had a football game this year when they surprised and won over Beech Grove, where he was 20 of 30 as a quarterback and 4 touchdown passes.
Oh. So he had the Bundy, huh?
Yeah, and I think he also ran for one in that game as well. 2-1 pitch. And Will Ambrose behind on 3 balls and a strike.
Ambrose, I'll tell you what, good breaking pitch. He got the last one on the outside corner, tried to come back inside, barely missed it. Really doing a nice job in his location.
Count goes full, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
And he ripped that one. You could tell, you see the frustration on his face that I just barely missed it. You're not going to get it out of this ballpark, as we said earlier. It's a big ballpark, wind blowing in, but I think he really felt that he was just that much off. Look out. Now, that'll wake you up.
Just a few minutes after 10 for the start today. Yes, it will.
Boy, he is really, now for Mendez, going to have to be a little more patient here because he's way out in front on his swing, so he is really sitting on these pitches.
See what Ambrose decides to come back with.
One other thing about Ambrose, what do you notice about him right now that might be different than any other thing you've seen so far?
Got to be the facial, right?
Got to be the face. He's got it all covered up, so you can't see anything, any indication of what he's thinking through his facial expressions.
Could be 3 up and 3 down. Alex Jackson draws a beat on it in right field and
dropped it.
Runner into second. So this inning continues like the top of the first did.
Well, you know what? We talked about it, that it's going to be an issue, and it is. That it's a high sky, the wind is blowing, the sun is in your face, you're playing in the morning, you're not used to doing it, and you can just kind of tell he lost it right there.
Brady Ray to the plate, and another look at what happened moments ago when it looked as if the inning was over. And instead, at second base is Mendez for Ray, who's had 1 ball, no strikes, and a scoring opportunity for the Crusaders in the first.
Well, I'm sure the coach is going to say, listen, guys, you've got to really concentrate now because we've seen it twice, and it's not going to get any better for a while because that sun's going to stay there. We know the wind is going to continue to blow, so you got to focus a little bit more.
Swinging on 2-0, 2-1.
And the outfielders, you'll notice, other than in left field, the other 2 outfielders are really playing kind of shallow on this because they know that wind is blowing as hard as it is. We see the flag just to our right, and it has been stiff all morning.
The practice football field blends in with the baseball field here. 2-1 pitch, high fastball, 3-1. So when you look toward right field, you have to look hard to see where the fence is at over there. It's roughly 290 to 300 all the way around. So
yeah,
3 balls and a strike. Big pitch here early in the first inning. Right center field. In for extra bases. Scecina goes ahead as Brady Ray comes through with a 2-out double.
Nice piece of hitting there for Ray. Got it in the air and did a great job fighting off a really good pitch by Ambrose. That is what Scecina needs to do to be successful. They take advantage of the air on the second baseman, Jackson. You come up with a big hit. A guy was only hitting around 170 coming into this game, and that's just really a big confidence lifter right there for the Crusaders.
He just jumped 52 points. Now he's 6 of 27 for 220. Here's Kate Logan. Strike 1.
Well, we have seen Logan, too. Now, he's a big fella. He's hitting it around the 200 mark, but we have seen him really lift some baseballs deep in the outfield. So if he gets hold of one from the left side, he can make some really big-time damage here. Runner will get the lead down at second base, and a time called here by Logan. Logan only 3 RBI so far this year, but 4 would be big here as Scecina potentially could take a 2-0 lead. The pitch on the way, swing and a miss, and a nice pitch by Ambrose to get out of the inning, but after one, Scecina picks up a run. They lead it 1-0.
Go get the second inning. The Scecina World Crusaders lead.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Back here at Scecina, we move to inning number 2. It's McDonald, Wilhite, and Ambrose all due up if you just joined us. Scecina picking up a run, an unearned run in the first inning on that double by Ray. By the way, I think for Ray might be his first run driven in of the season. McDonald at 242 on the year, home run. He was driven in 8. And then, of course, when Wilhite steps up, young man at over 500 in the batting average in this one so far this season. Mendez, his first pitch is on the way, and it's going to be low for a ball. Second pitch by Mendez up high in a fastball, 2 balls, no strikes. And now I believe we can give it back to Jim. Am I correct about that?
Seat, please.
There you go. Yeah, you move over.
Nicely done, though.
I'm going to have to let you and Keith know, though, that eventually my union will hear about this. That
I thought it was just extra credit. All right, everything's straightened out. Blake McDonald, as Troy told you, at the plate to start the second in a 1-0 game. Good start for Scecina, which is, I think you alluded to in our pregame, and been behind big in a number of games.
Well, that certainly plays on your psyche a little bit when you are in games, and the next thing you know, things just start happening, and all of a sudden you can't stop the floodgates, and you've given up 4 or 5 runs, and just from a confidence standpoint, you go back to the dugout and you think, boy, it's happening again.
Yeah, 3-2 pitch. Second strikeout of the game for DJ Mendez, 1 out in the second.
Well, and his breaking pitch isn't just a breaking pitch. It has a lot of steam on it, so he's not just lofting it in there. I mean, he's got good cut action on it. Took that one on the outside corner of the plate. Great. If you're a right-handed hitter, to get to that is tough. So from a pitching standpoint, Mendez able to do a great job picking those corners.
Facing the number 6 hitter in Dan Ambrose's lineup in Carson Wilhite.
I'm pretty sure Wilhite's numbers would rival any video game out there. And did it say 545 or was that when I got up this morning?
Probably both.
Yeah.
He pitched on Tuesday. Actually pitched pretty well. He gave up a 2-run homer to Cruz. And Connor Cruz, who's a terrific quarterback for Covenant Christian as well, just spanked that. And the skipper thought he did go as long as he could, just made a couple of mistakes. Count here goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out in the second.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about was talk about the hitters having to face that wind. But you got Mendez. He's got a little ump behind him. He's got the wind behind him. And I don't know from a standpoint of how many miles per hour you gain on that, but I'd certainly rather throw with the wind than against the wind.
Be a busy week for Scecina starting on Monday. or rather on Tuesday at Triton Central. Then coming back on Wednesday to face Triton again. They'll be in the city tournament starting next Saturday. And as for Covenant, or rather Heritage, they will face Guerin back-to-back games next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have the game on Tuesday for you. First walk of the game delivered by Mendez, 1 out, and Carson Wilhite is aboard.
Well, I was watching Mendez there a little bit, kind of shaking his head. I think he was disappointed that he missed that pitch. The idea was good. He was going to go on the outside corner of the plate. He just missed it a little bit, and he's had really good command of that pitch so far today.
Here's the pitcher in the number 7 spot, Will Ambrose. Name likely sounds familiar. Skipper and manager, coaching at third base. Dan Ambrose, by the way, longtime teacher at Heritage Christian, who's gone on a number of missions to the Dominican Republic.
Wow. Good for him.
Started many years ago and did a solo act and then started bringing players from all over the state. Said it's an experience like no other.
I bet it's not. Wow, that's amazing.
Runner at first here in the top of the second, and Scecina has drawn first blood, as the cliche goes. Strike to Ambrose, to be followed by the number 8 hitter, the catcher, Trip Vaughn.
You know, the funny thing is you mentioned the Dominican, that my wife told me to go to the Dominican and not come back for a while, so I don't know what kind of mission she was trying to send me on, but...
It's good for stand-up, by the way.
It is, isn't it?
Ball and 2 strikes. Scecina just 2 wins in 10 losses. Had a 3-1 lead last night at Monrovia before losing 4-3. Could certainly use a victory. And facing one of the better teams, a team that last year got to the semi-state in Heritage Christian.
Well, and by the way, this is a team that can run, so let's see if they're going to run here pretty soon.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Good pitch to run on here as Wilhite walks back to first base and gets some instructions from his first base coach, Matt Turner.
Wilhite does have 4 stolen bases, 45 coming into this one, so they have the ability to get out there and cause some issues.
Got a modest lead at first base, and they got him trapped.
Tell you what, great move by Mendez. You give him another half step right there, and he probably got thrown. It would be picked off.
Henry Weimer applied the tag, but Wilhite back in at first. Starts to edge his lead away from first, a little more modest this time. He's still going. 2-2 pitch. Sky towards center field, and Zach Plunkett battling the sun and the wind. Going to shoot for a double play and almost got it. Back in the first is Wilhite, who had strayed a bit, came back and just barely got back into first base now with 2 outs.
Yeah, Wilhite did a great job getting back, and that's a tough one for a base runner because you're trying to watch. You go halfway, see if he's going to make the catch, and the way things have been today, you want to kind of freeze a little bit because if he drops it, you're certainly going to get second base. But that's tough, even for the base runner and the center fielder.
Yeah, good point. He was hedging his bets, hoping that maybe that ball would drop. 2 outs here now in the Heritage second. Trip Vaughn, catcher, batting in the 8th spot. Threw out 2 runners in the game that we broadcast the other day against Covenant Christian. Got a great arm.
By the way, Heritage had a chance with that error in the first inning. They were hit and run, grounded out to the second baseman.
Toward left field. Keegan Ray doesn't have to go very far. Heritage Christian gets a 1-out walk and strands a man. After an inning and a half, it is 1-0 Crusaders.
Going into the second inning, Memorial Crusaders lead.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at Indiana SRN.
Back to business. Our mission is to restore respect to umpires and officials and recognize them as authorities on the fields and courts. Sportsmanship is everybody's job. Troy Darengowski, Jim Barber, back with you on Indiana SRN as we go to the Scecina second, where it'll be 6, 7, and 8 hitters, Henry Weimer, Will Battles, and Keaton Knowlton. So what are your thoughts on what we have seen so far in the first half hour?
Well, impressed with Mendez. He is throwing well. I tell you what, I love baseball when it's 3-2, 2-1. I guess really? I love good pitching. Love the ability to go out there and throw some strikes and make hitters swing the bat, and just that's what baseball is to me. When it gets to be 12-10 and guys are running around the bases, and that's okay once in a while, but I'm a really pitcher defensive kind of guy. But we've seen that today. This could end up being 2-1, 3-2, the way it's certainly going at this stage. And if I have a pitcher that's throwing well, I'm staying with him. I mean, a lot of coaches, depending on how many innings you have available, you played last night, you play again today, you have a busy week next week, so that's going to be a factor too. How much work do you give these pitchers today and still have them ready for next week?
And they are on a pitch count according to the IHSAA, so a number of pitches disqualifies you or can disqualify you for the next day or a couple of days down the line. So something for, I imagine, skippers to keep an eye on.
Oh, have to. Yeah, you don't want to jeopardize that at all, plus the health of your pitchers. Certainly don't want to throw too many innings where they end up with some arm issues at some point. Plus, you got to remember that you get to tournament time, you want your pitchers to be really rested and ready to go.
Henry Weimer batting in the 6th spot, has a hit, 17 at bats, and grounds one toward Colin Kopka. And on the hop, one out here in the bottom of the second. By the way, to follow your point about how you like low-scoring games, you would not have appreciated this one. True story, in the MAC 2 weeks ago, 22-21 was the final.
Oh, my. How long that game take? 6.5 hours?
Yeah. This is Kopka guiding the line and guarding it nicely for the assist and throw over to J.P. Olson as we bring up Will Battles. And Battles got hit. So Battles becomes the base runner here in the second inning.
Well, again, I watched Battles kind of tight to the plate. And bottom line is, if you're willing to take that pitch and the pitcher comes inside, old-time baseball, you got up on the plate, they'd back you off big time.
Oh, yeah.
Not maybe the case as much today in baseball, but if you're willing to take it, I'll take the base.
He's the runner over at first base here with one out in the second. Keaton Knowlton, the catcher, batting in the 8th spot to the plate.
Now, Scecina's not really, number-wise, a team that's going to run a lot, but maybe today could be the day.
Knowlton with a swing and miss, 4 of 27 on the season.
You're mentioning that high-scored MAC game. We did some games in the HCAC tournament over the last couple of years that we were there almost to midnight sometimes, it felt like.
Off the overthrow, Will Battles heading into second base. And that's as far as he'll go. Yeah, when you get to college baseball, and particularly postseason, where the games are really significant because if it's double elimination, you want to be able to stay alive if you have a loss. You could be there for a while.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And you talk about strategy, the coaches having to figure out who they're going to throw, what's the best scenario to throw, who they can throw to, and just the ability to manage that. Give those coaches a lot of credit because that is not an easy thing to do. And again, with limits in the amount of innings you can throw to high school, it makes it a little bit tougher.
Knowlton skies one toward left field. That will be in foul territory. And goes as a long strike. We'll do it again with no balls, 2 strikes. And Will Battles at second. 2 errors by Heritage already in this game. That's a bit unusual.
A little bit unusual, for sure. But I tell you what, I like the aggressiveness when you think about Ambrose trying to pick off the runner at first. Now, I happened to notice Williams in left field. When he got to the line, he had no idea where that ball was because that sun is really wreaking havoc.
got a hold of the bat there, and one of his teammates said, "Way to foul it off, Keaton."
Well, this is a good opportunity again. You have a runner in scoring position. Scecina the other night left a couple of runners in scoring position in key areas of the game, and they really could use another run right here.
Good stop by Vaughn, who tags the batter, wondering if that's a third strike.
Well, what he check swing.
Yep.
Yeah,
it is.
and here's the thing that bothers me a little bit about that. Now, you have to have the home plate umpire ask him.
Sure.
But I'm not sure at the stage that you're looking at right there, everybody was kind of confused, and even for Knowlton, he was kind of confused if it was a strike and he went around or not. But I tell you what, big strikeout right there.
Yeah, another one in the dirt, another good stop by Trip Vaughn. As Keegan Ray, the left fielder, already has a couple of putouts in this game, batting with a man at second in the bottom of the second, and a 1-0 game in favor of Scecina.
You know, what's tough about that last play, too, is that as a field umpire, you're located now on the left side. And when you're down the line, you can see that a little bit easier, whether he went around or not. I think it's a tough call for a field umpire to make at that location.
And it's a two-man umpire crew. You've got one behind home plate, and the man on the infield's got to basically man three bases.
Yeah, and not only man the three bases out there, you got to watch the pitcher in case he balks, and then you got to also be asked to watch the hitter if he goes around. I think my pay scale would have to go up a little bit.
Just a little. 1-2 pitch here with a runner dancing at second base and 2 outs. That one in the dirt. Vaughn will locate it. In the meantime, off the wild pitch, Will Battles on to third. So Battles reached by being hit by a pitch, advanced to second on an overthrow pickoff, and now is to third on a wild pitch.
And right now, Ambrose, his own worst enemy. So see if he can pitch out of this inning.
Needs a strikeout there, doesn't get it. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Ready to flip the lineup over to Max Douglas, who stands by to hit next.
That was a pretty good pitch.
Now here's the 3-2 pitch. Beautiful sunshiny day. Temperature started in the low 40s. It will reach, at best, mid-50s today.
We did lacrosse last night, and I thought the same thing today. When are we going to kick off? Because it was cold last night, too.
Strike 3, big strikeout by Will Ambrose. Inning over, threat averted. After 2, it remains Scecina 1, Heritage Christian nothing.
After 2, going into the third, Scecina Moore Crusaders 1, Heritage Christian Eagles 0.
Can't make it to the game? We've got your back. Just go to www.IndianaSRN.org and tune in to all of the live action, or go to our on-demand service and relive your favorite moments.
We never really realize how much we depend on electricity until the power goes out. Get those lights back on when you choose the certified electricians at Bertner Electric Incorporated. Locally owned and operated, we are a member of the Better Business Bureau and provide only the highest quality of customer service. For more information, give us a call today.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
Tamp's Sweet and Savory Cafe offers traditional food like Grandma used to make. Great staff and even better food. Check out Wednesday through Sunday. Call ahead at 317-760-1640. And our boss, Keith Myers, extended an invitation to all of us yesterday for the Sloppy Joes. Unfortunately, I had a previous engagement. Could not take part.
You know what I find interesting about that is that Keith always finds out what you're doing. And so, like, if you're going someplace, then he'll say, hey, why don't you come to Tam's Sweet and Savory Cafe, already knowing that we're already doing something.
That's pretty impressive.
It is, and he doesn't have to pick up the bill.
Down at Kopka leads off the Heritage third. This team is down a run. Kopka the other day 0 for 2 with a run batted in. Got hit by a pitch and reached on an error. Inning of work, number 3 for DJ Mendez, who has faced 8, has struck out 2, allowed a walk, and the only base runner besides that reached on an error.
Well, we'll look back probably at the second inning and wonder if that's going to be a factor. I'll get to that point in a moment.
And in left field, and that likely will go for a base hit for Kopka on a tough play and hop for Max Douglas. And so Colin, the number 9 hitter, starts off the Heritage third with a hit.
And we look at missed opportunities in sports, and you look back in the first inning when Scecina did score a run but got Ray to second base, failed to get him in because of a strikeout. You go back to the second inning, you got battles to third because of a couple of miscues by Scecina. You had 2 strikeouts following that, so there was another missed opportunity there for Scecina. Now the question is, will they be able to take advantage of mistakes later in the game?
They'll score that an error instead of a hit, but nonetheless, Kopka is at first with nobody out to start the third for Ryan Williams. Williams struck out in the first. A bullet to right field. Kopka to second base. They'll go station to station. Ryan Williams with his 10th hit, Troy, this week.
He jumped all over that pitch and read it well from Mendez, and you can see why that young man can hit the way he does from the left side. And now Heritage Christian has something going here. They've struggled a little bit in the first couple of innings. Now let's see if they can keep it going, because now you have potentially, 2, 3, and 4 who are very good hitters.
Alex Jackson, one of them, steps to the plate, flew out to left field in the first inning. Runners at first and second, nobody out in the Heritage third. He's bunting. Back to the pitcher. Throw to third. Got the force out.
Excellent play by Mendez. It certainly helps when your pitcher is as good of a fielder as he is when he plays third base, and they read it well. Third baseman stayed home, wasn't tempted to come in on the bunt attempt, probably bunted a little bit too hard. Really wanted to bunt at first base side. If you're going to advance those runners, try to get to the first base side where the only play is at first base.
And because of that, Ryan Williams is now the base runner at second. Alex Jackson, who reached on a fielder's choice, is at first. Tyler Altemeyer, who reached on an error back in the first inning to the plate for the second time. Altemeyer stands 6 feet, 165 pounds, and one of the few seniors on his Heritage team. Strike one.
165 pounds.
Yeah.
I've been 165 since high school.
You know, you look at this roster and you see the weights are on there and you get really envious.
I do, yeah.
It's like, how do they do it?
I think they're cheating.
And they're many years younger.
Yes.
Good lead by Williams at second base.
You know, it kind of reminds me of basketball rosters when I see him and they'll say, oh, he's 6'6", and you stand next to him, you're like, 6'6"?
Basketball may be the one sport where they hedge a little bit.
They do, yeah. It's with the shoes on, is what it is.
Runners going down to third, and everybody is going to be safe.
Oh, really tough play there for Ray. I believe that for Ray, he's thinking field, step on the bag, or make the tag, and unfortunately the last moment took his eye off of it, and potentially now could be a big inning. This is what we talked about in the pregame, Jim. Don't have a big inning like we've seen so far this year.
Big chance for J.P. Olison in the 4th spot with the bases loaded and 1 out. And credit Heritage for sending Ryan Williams on the play, because otherwise Williams likely would have been forced out at third, but may have provided just a bit of interference there.
I agree. Yeah, it was a great play to get those base runners going, and just excellent job getting where they needed to be. And I think, again, when you look at the aggressiveness of Heritage Christian, they've seen the scouting report. If we can be aggressive on the base paths, we'll be able to get runs going, and that's kind of what they did right there.
Mendez behind 2 balls, no strikes, bases loaded. To right field and hit deep. And foul. Wow.
Well, he gave that one a ride for sure, and Mendez left that one out over the plate, and for Olson, he had every bit of that one going for him right there. And that was just a few feet from being a grand slam.
JP had a homer the other day in the win over Purdue Polytechnical. Good change. Got him Off balance there, 2 balls, 2 strikes. So what does Mendez come back with now? And a count 2-2 and the bases loaded.
Well, first off, big hitter like this, don't let him extend his arms. I'm either going to pitch him high and tight or low and away. Nothing out over the plate.
Could use a strikeout here. In foul territory, out of play.
I think it was a good pitch. It was a breaking ball, caught him on the inside. And I know that Olson had a pretty good swing at it, but you love the cat and mouse here. What are we going to come with now? I still have an opportunity. If I miss here, I'm 3-2, and then you're in a little bit of trouble because you know then you have to throw a strike. So this is a big pitch.
And here it is.
One thing about Mendez, if you watch his pitch, that was a fastball that had break to the outside. So whatever movement he has on the ball, he is throwing it extremely well. But he wanted to keep it away from the left-handed hitting Olson.
Blake McDonald would be next. Again, the 2-2 with the bases loaded. Huge strikeout by DJ Mendez. Took something off of that. There are 2 outs, and the bases are still loaded.
Great pitch. Went back to the outside, kept it away from him. Olson got a piece of it, but again, nothing plate inside. It was plate outside. Great pitch.
So that leaves it up to Blake McDonald with the bases loaded now in the third. And his team behind 1-0, but now they're 2 outs. To left field, dropping, base hit. It'll score 1, and it will be station-to-station baseball. But coming through, Blake McDonald, the game is tied as Ryan Williams plates the first run for Heritage.
Hitters will generally tell you the best pitch I might see in the sequence will be that first pitch.
Really?
Yep, and they read fastball right there, and probably the scouting report was, as you see it, right out over the plate. And a lot of times that's the best pitch you might see because you're not guessing quite as much if you know the tendency of the pitcher and what he's going to throw on that first pitch.
And the bases remain loaded for Carson Wilhite, who takes a strike.
Well, I love the movement on his fastball. You just see that thing break at the very end and catch the outside corner. That's a tough one to hit for left-handers.
Wilhite, 3 hits and 7 at-bats in the doubleheader against Covenant Christian. Good play by Keaton Nolan to make sure that doesn't go to the backstop, and there is a lot of room between the backstop and home plate.
Yeah, you're going to get a really good jump down there. The only hope you have is it's going to bounce off that net and come back, which generally doesn't happen.
The 1-1.
See, I think that's just a little bit of frustration now from Mendez. I think if I'm the catcher, I'm going to go out there and try to settle him down a little bit. I know he's missed a couple of times right there looking for that outside pitch. Just get him back in his groove.
Facing a left-handed batter, the right-handed pitcher throws. And the count even 2 balls and 2 strikes. So a little bit of drama here in the top of the third.
Love drama, for sure. It keeps the game interesting. But if you're Heritage Christian now, take advantage of this. Bases loaded. Love a couple more runs because, again, as we've seen this year, Scecina unable to score runs. If you can get 3 or 4 runs in this inning, you really put them behind the 8 ball.
To follow that point, Scecina averages only 3 runs a game.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be the type of low-scoring game you anticipate, a 2-1 or 3-2, this is a big moment.
Really, in fact, both ways. Big here for Heritage. Don't want to leave runners on base at this stage in the game.
Missed the corner, so we have gone as far as we can with Carson Wilhite. Bases loaded, 3 balls, 2 strikes, top of the third in a 1-1 game.
I think he'll go there again. If you can get that outside corner like we have seen, he's missed it a couple of times here at this at-bat. Let's see if he goes back there one more time.
Runners go. We'll do it again. One of the advantages, too, about having a 3-2 count here and runners at every position is that something that drops in could score at least a couple.
Yeah, that's this is big right here. Plus, from the defensive side, get a ground ball, step on a base, you're out of the inning.
Good off-speed pitch, and the tag will be at home plate. Well, it's all Keaton Nolan need to do. Stretched out, tagged the home base, and the inning is over. But in the inning, Heritage said 7 to the plate, takes advantage of a couple of errors, 1-1 after 2.5.
Going into the bottom of the third, Heritage Christian Casino Memorial are tied 1-1.
At first, me and my mom were struggling. I was trying to pay the bills and trying to take care of my mom at the same time. When I first heard that I can get paid for taking care of my mom, I was kind of skeptical because I had been doing it for so many years without pay. That's when I reached out to Passion to Care. I read all the reviews and I saw that they were #1 in the field. Passion to Care has really, really changed my life. Right now, I take care of my mom 24/7 thanks to Passion to Care.
DJ Mendez gets out of a huge jam with a big-time strikeout to end the top of the third for Heritage, which has already left 5 in this game on base, Troy.
Yeah, and that's kind of unusual for them to do that, but you got to go back to Mendez. I mean, you look at him, the way he was throwing, missing to left-handers on the outside, to come back and get the strikeout essentially of that final hitter is big for Scecina, because that really could have been a disastrous inning, and just able to overcome a couple of errors, that's big for the Crusaders. So that gives them some confidence. And now you need to get up there and score some runs. You said earlier, only averaging 3 runs per game. And so runs are at a premium right now. Need to get these guys on base and try to get something going offensively.
Well, had to make sure that's Will Ambrose out there because the facial screen is off. But that's still number 20. He's still tall and lean, and has decided to go without the mask to start the bottom of the third in a 1-1 game, and he has to duck the throw of Trip Vaughn, who has got a great arm, as we mentioned, but I don't play, and that's the last thing you need to do is see your pitcher decked by the catcher.
Yes, I'd be Trip. What's up, man? I thought we were friends here.
Max Douglas, who's a strikeout victim back in the first, and because of that, now he has 10 hits and 28 at-bats. Pops up one on the infield for J.P. Olison, 1 out. So 1 pitch, 1 gone. In the Scecina third for Dom McKiernan.
You know, a lot of times as a hitter, you get anxious. As I said, the best pitch you're probably going to see is that first one. But I think as a Scecina team, you need to be a little more patient because you haven't been hitting very well this year. Try to see a pitch or two. This is your second or third time around soon. To see this guy, be patient and try to find the pitch you want to hit.
Don McKiernan, after being retired in the first, now batting .259 on the year. For again, a Scecina offense that has lacked scoring punch, but is in a 1-1 game, and thanks to DJ Mendez's pitching, able to get out of a huge jam in the top of the inning.
Don't we call Dominique the Killer? Wasn't that his nickname? We were here last time.
And the Killer fouls one off.
Yes.
1 ball, 2 strikes. To be followed by the pitcher, David Mendez. DJ will bat third in the inning. Ambrose to the plate. This one headed towards center field. And caught.
Oh, wow.
What a play by Blake McDonald at center field. No, wait a minute. Trapped it. Had to go for a hit.
Well, that'll mess up your score sheet if you already put him down for an out there. But that's great effort, though.
Another look at McDonald coming on, and trapped it. Did a nice job of selling it, though.
Yes, he did. Well, now, and again, there's a little discussion here, as you see right there with the home plate umpire, on whether that was actually a base hit or whether he made the catch. And so now the umpires will get together and talk about it. Now, generally what you see here is that is the home plate umpire's call, because the first base umpire, he is watching the base runner at first base. So, again, you put your umpires in a very difficult situation here to make a call that is that close.
So it will stay as a base hit. And Mendez will step up there with a man aboard, that being McKiernan, and 1 out in the third. And we're all spoiled rotten by TV replay.
Aren't we?
Because we see it at almost every level except for high school and certainly part of college. And so you have to alert the viewing audience to the fact that that's not available.
Yeah, it's not
Even
available.
though every once in a while we like to see it. So,
well, if Greg, our producer, would get here a little earlier today and set up, he could get a monitor down there and take care of our umpires.
yeah, I'm sure he'll get right on that.
Yeah. I mean, 8 o'clock. Yeah. You fix the headset. Be quiet.
Man aboard, bottom of the third, 1-1 game. Very competitive so far today. And that one gets away from Vaughn. And in the meantime, McKinnon, apparently with respect for Vaughn, did not advance.
And that's hard to believe that you didn't make the advance if you're paying attention to where that ball went. Your first base coach is telling you go, go, go. You really got to be aware of what's happening in your surroundings, and that could be another factor in this inning.
Brady Ray to bat next off the 2-0 pitch towards center field. McDonald gets a beat on it. This one he handles, 2 outs in the Scecina third.
You know, thinking a little bit about Ambrose when he got rid of the mask that he had on to keep his head warm. I think sometimes as a pitcher, if you're not used to doing something like that, or as a hitter, you're wearing something that you're not used to, I think I'd be feeling it too much, and I'd want to get rid of that and get back to what's normal that I feel every time. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, maybe for Ambrose, getting rid of that is going to help him a little bit.
You must say, though, he doesn't look as intimidating.
No, not at all. It's weird. Baseball has always been one of those sports of superstitions. Guys jumping over lines, you know, they don't change their underwear for days, whatever the case may be, because they always think if they're in a groove, stay with that no matter what it takes.
Yes. Good change there. No balls, 2 strikes, so 2 outs here in the third in a 1-1 game. Heritage will be setting up the bottom of its order in the fourth.
I only mention that because that's what Keith said when he became a .600 hitter in high school. Never changed his underwear the whole season, so he felt so good about it.
0-2 pitch into the dirt. That'll be a wild one, and on the second base goes Don McKiernan. So Dominic at second base in scoring position. 2 outs now here in the inning for Brady Ray to continue his at bat.
Well, Ambrose had the last wild pitch wiped out because the runner didn't advance. This time picks up another wild pitch, his second of the game.
Ray, who's done some high school wrestling to go along with baseball. And time being called.
Well, I'm going to say he probably had to have been about a 220 guy, right?
Sure.
No, they don't call him heavyweights anymore, right?
No, they don't. Strike 3 called. Will Ambrose gets the first strike out of the inning and the fourth of the game. After 3, it's 1-1 Heritage and Scecina.
After 3, going into 4, Heritage Christian Eagles.
Calling officials cheaters or corrupt, it's not a game.
Insulting referees, it's not a game.
Threatening officials, it's not a game.
Berating young umpires, learning the ropes, it's not a game.
Violent language in the stands, it's not a game.
Verbal abuse from the sideline, it's not a game.
Screaming at a referee in the parking lot, it's not a game.
A reminder, this broadcast is a copyright production of IndianaSRN and the IHSAA. Any use of audio or video without the express written permission of IndianaSRN and the Indiana High School Athletic Association is prohibited. Troy Darengowski, Jim Barber, as we start the fourth with Will Ambrose, the pitcher, then Trip Vaughn and Colin Kopka.
Well, you look back at Scecina when Ray was at the plate. He struck out. He got that double in the first inning, but he struck out in that inning on a pitch. The coaches will tell you, if it's close, you got to swing, especially when you have 2 strikes.
Ambrose takes a called strike there.
I think if you're going to go out there, swing that bat. If anything, strike out swinging.
Were you an aggressive hitter, by the way?
Yes. I was a leadoff hitter.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I don't look like it, but yeah.
Well, I didn't say that, but
well, I'm sure I know that some people are probably thinking that. What? Leadoff hitter? Yeah, because I was a lot smaller than I am now.
Okay.
And actually, the hitting is one thing I could do. The rest of it, they didn't let me pitch, so they said stay away from the mound.
2-1 pitch, fouled back.
But I actually had a little bit of speed, could get on base, steal, and so that's what you want your leadoff hitters to do.
Yes. In this game so far, Colin Kopka is the only man to reach base to start the inning for Heritage. Off the 2-2, sky toward right field. Into the sun, Dom McKiernan with a catch. 1 out in the Heritage fourth. And DJ Mendez doing a nice job of keeping that leadoff hitter off base.
Yeah, he's done just an excellent job. And even when you look back at some of the things that have happened in this game, if you take away the couple of errors in that inning for Heritage Christian, that thing could have been a much bigger inning. But he was able to pitch around it, come back, and able to get Will Height there at the end, and, of course, the force out at home plate. So I know he was a little frustrated in the inning, but he came back strong.
That play is Trip Vaughn, who played as a freshman. Vaughn Nauer Jr. can also pitch as well, but it's catching abilities that help Heritage so far to 7 wins. Hops that one up in foul territory. This baseball diamond was ready for usage on March 11th of this year. So since the weather was fairly decent around the Christmas holiday, lots of rubber and sand were placed into here, and it is a luscious field to be a part of.
You know, I watched the transformation of a football field one time. It is amazing how they put these things together.
Oh, yes. Off-speed pitch called strike 2-2.
You know what else is amazing? Back when we played, if we had any grass on the field, we were lucky.
Sure. Mendez with a strikeout here, Vaughn. And for the game now, that is his 5th strikeout.
Yeah, excellent pitch once again. What is fun about being behind the plate the way we are, you can see that break at the very end of the pitch, and it is really a very sharp break on his fastball.
Got a chance to retire the side for the first time in order. First pitch swinging, Colin Kopka reached on an error back in the 3rd, which was the previous inning. Heritage has left 5 on base, and so far Scecina has stranded 3.
You ever talk to any of the players and ask them how fortunate they feel to be in a situation like this, in a field like this?
Little number headed towards short. Max Douglas. 3 up and 3 down halfway through this game, and a tied score at 1.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, IndianaSRN. Hit the bell to get notifications for upcoming games and more. Watch as many games as you want, as many times as you want.
For 125 years, Wheeler Mission has been a pillar in the Indianapolis community, providing help, hope, and healing to people in need. Volunteer today at 317-686-6239. Got a good one here on IndianaSRN and a 1-1 tie as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Caden Logan, Henry Weimer, Will Battles are the scheduled hitters for the Crusaders.
Well, we've talked about this with Scecina. Again, if they can just keep themselves in the game, give themselves a chance to win. That's kind of my motto all the time. Give yourself a chance to win toward the end, and they're doing that right now. Now, again, hitting has been their issue. They've had, 3 runners in scoring position left on base, and they've got to find a way to get those guys in.
Logan struck out in the first, hitting .207. Skies one toward left field. Ryan Williams calls everybody off. 1 out.
Well, that's the second straight inning where the leadoff hitter swings at the first pitch and flies out. I think you got to be a little more patient. If I'm hitting around that 200 mark, the one thing I've got to do is try to look at a couple of pitches first. Worst I'm going to be is down 0-2, and then I'm going to be aggressive and swing. And I know, again, I thought that pitch might have been a little bit outside, and that's why he ended up hitting it that way.
Henry Weimer to the plate. You notice, too, now the fielders, particularly the outfielders, are gloving the ball with two hands as opposed to one.
I think that might have been the talk when you came back in. But now the wind is not blowing as hard either. So I think there may be comfort levels getting a little bit better in the outfield.
Weimer now hitting .206 on the season. Takes a called strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I know you may not believe this, but I think I saw the forecast this afternoon. It's supposed to blow even harder.
Wow.
Yeah.
A line drive right into the mitt of Colin Kopka. 2 outs. Spanked toward third base, but Weimer retired.
You know, isn't that amazing when you are trying to get base hits and you hit it hard and there's somebody right there to catch it and you're like, man, there's
not fair.
It's not fair at all. But, boy, when you're struggling, though, Jim, that just happens.
Oh, yes.
And you got to find a way to get that ball in play.
Will Battles swings at one out of the zone. Will reached by being hit by a pitch, advanced to second on an overthrow for the pitcher, and then to third, but that's as far as he got with back-to-back strikeouts by Will Ambrose to end the second. 2 outs now in the Crusader fourth. The quick turnaround for the Scecina Crusaders, who played last night on the road at Monrovia. But today, minus an error or two, are playing well.
But the good news is, with teenagers, you know they got home, they went to bed, got plenty of rest, you know, ate the right meal and everything, so they were ready for today.
There's a little sarcasm in that, I would think. Coaches try to make sure the first part is correct, which is get home and, you know, get some rest. It's a Little League story, but when the Little Leaguers were quarantined by COVID but still competed over at Whitestown in the Little League Baseball World Series, the parents loved it because they couldn't babysit. And it was all up to the coaches and manager for the whole week. So the parents got to enjoy the city.
I bet they did. Yeah, coaches probably loved that.
Yeah. The week probably felt like a month.
I bet it did. That's quite a responsibility, though.
Oh, it sure is. 3-2 pitch, off speed, popped up. In foul territory. Is it playable? Into the sun, tough play for J.P. Olesen, and we'll do 3-2 again.
You know, a lot of people think, well, what's the big deal about a play like that for your first baseman? But again, you're fighting. You haven't played here before, so you got to really gauge how much room you have. You certainly don't want to run over the first base coach while you're heading that way. You got the high sky and the sun and everything, so that's really a very difficult play.
Got the shade of the dugout, too, so you go from sun to shade.
Yeah.
Ball 4. Well, Will Ambrose had already moved about 5 feet off the mound.
Well,
and Dan Osborne is going to give him a what-so on that.
Yeah, when it's that close, boy, you are chomping at the bit to get that strikeout. And you know what? We've talked so much today about Mendez, but Ambrose has pitched pretty well. I mean, he's had a couple of wild pitches. He did hit a batter, but he's getting outs when he needs them.
Here's Keaton Knowlton, who struck out in the second. So both pitcher and skipper Dan Ambrose didn't like the call. But as it turns out, Battles is on base for the second time with a 3-2 walk, representing the go-ahead run.
You know, the nice thing, that they may just say this about Coach Ambrose. Just remember that you may not like it, but that other dugout liked it a lot. So there's always a 50-50 chance you're going to be okay. So.
Took his team all the way to the semi-state last year to face coveted Christian, which beat the Eagles and then advanced to the finals when they lost over at Victory Field. Strike call, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, here's where he talked about Jim earlier. 5 through 9, can you get production? And so far, they've had a couple of base runners on, but they also have not produced much here this afternoon.
They've left on 3 to this point. 2-2 pitch is forthcoming. Missed the corner, 3-2.
Well, Ambrose did a nice job. He was trying to get that strike like he got a little bit ago. Let's see if he goes back to the outside and try to paint that corner.
Trying to get his 6th strikeout of the game.
Well, this is a big at bat here for Knowlton, though.
Oh,
I mean, he really, you think he's hitting in the 140 range. He struck out the last time. Be big for him to come up with a base hit right here.
Could get to your 9th hitter, and that means the top of the order in the 5th.
That's right.
If it gets to that point. Again, the 3-2 runner goes. 6th strikeout of the game for Ambrose, who dances off the mound and heads to the dugout and gets plenty of congratulations. It remains after 4, 1-1.
After 4, go to 5. Heritage Christian Eagles 1.
Both dad and son.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Boilermaker Local 374 represents highly skilled, highly motivated workers in field construction and metal fabrication throughout the state of Indiana. To start a career, call us at 219-845-1000. Already on to the 5th inning in a 1-1 game. Jim and Troy back with you here on IndianaSRN, and back to the top of the order. And hot-hitting Ryan Williams will lead it off.
Well, this will be big now for Mendez, top of the order. You look at the numbers, as we have said all game. This is a very lethal 1 through 4 hitters here. And if I'm the Eagles, this is where I really want to now perhaps get that lead and try to put the pressure back on Scecina with the offense struggling the way they have. Could be a big half inning here for Heritage Christian.
They have some type of roster change at this point. Williams, by the way, at the plate in his first 2 years, batted just 167. 9 hits and 54 at-bats. It has been everything unlike the first couple of years for his season right now, as Ryan, who's a senior at 5'10", 150, has been white hot.
Would imagine, though, Jim, a lot of that happened in the offseason.
Yes. I mean, typically averages get better as you come back for your next year, but his averages just jumped off the table. To be followed by Alex Jackson, who's 0 for 2, and Tyler Allemeyer, who has reached twice on an error and is 0 for 2 as well. Just joining us, good to have you with us. 1-1 game. Heritage Christian and Scecina, and both teams back here next Saturday, not to face each other, but to be part of the city tournament, which begins. And we will have both the city and the county finals for you from the Vic, as they call it, Victory Field in downtown Indy, in early May.
And it better be warmer than 50.
It likely will be. 2-2. Analyze Williams' stroke, if you will, for us.
Well, all left-handers, I don't care who it is, they have beautiful strokes. For some reason, God gave them the ability to look good shooting, swinging the bat, pitching. And this young man right here, and again, I don't know what he did in the offseason, but he really keeps his head down, keeps a level swing. It's not like a home run swing, because this guy's probably more of a singles, doubles hitter, and just a beautiful, beautiful swing from the left side.
Do a nice job of staying alive here as he'll await his 7th pitch of this at bat.
And I love that, too, because I'm going to make Mendez throw and throw and throw because I want him to tire out, make a mistake at some point, take something off the fastball, something I can drive.
Yeah, it's worked the count full as Ryan Williams, 3-2. Heritage went down in order for the only time any team has gone down 1-2-3 in this game. There's that nice-looking stroke, and that one is headed to the fence. Williams around first. Williams around second. He's got the go-ahead. Williams in the third. He has a triple. And on the overthrow, he will remain. But Ryan Williams spanks that one to right field, and now off the overthrow will score.
Well, I thought that ball bounced back off of the dugout because there is a screen on the front of that, and I thought he wasn't going to be able to advance on the throw, but that will be an error on the throw now, and Williams, the triple, opens up the inning really big right here. Now, we just talked about that a little bit ago. Maybe this is the breaking point, and unfortunately for Scecina, it's going to end up costing them a run. So I'm curious. I didn't see it, Jim. I don't know if somebody touched the ball in the dugout area, which would certainly be the difference right there.
Sure. So Williams has scored both of Heritage's runs and now has 11 hits this week. 11.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Man.
Alex Jackson.
Here's Alex Jackson, and we'll see Williams and Heritage again Tuesday afternoon from Heritage against Guerin Catholic.
Well, you mentioned Williams and the way he is playing right now. When you're hitting that well, and they always talk about how big that ball looks, and he just, as we talked about his swing, he stayed in on it, tight swing, and was able to get the triple.
Good breaking ball there by DJ Mendez. 0-2. Still anybody's game at 2-1 here in the 5th, and the 7-inning game unless we go extra innings. Another good break. They'll check at first base, and that will be a ball.
Well, now I know that Mendez kind of looking over at the Heritage Christian dugout area. I don't know if they're kind of giving him a little bit of razz right here, but now you got to get yourself back in your composure here and just pitch. Not worry about those guys in the dugout. But, you know, you look at this game, Jim, and it's been a Scecina game where they've committed some mistakes. And in a close ball game like this, you can't make those kind of mistakes.
Nope. That one hit deep to left field, but in play. Wynn keeps it alive for Keegan Ray. One out here in the Heritage 5th. Got a hold of it.
Yep. Jackson gave it a ride any other day, and maybe a different ballpark. He might have gotten that one out of here, but it is a big outfield. It's a fence. It's probably 335 down the line or so. So with all those conditions against him, ended up being just nothing more than a fly ball.
Third outfield put out for Keegan Ray and for his team. 4th of the game. Make that the 5th. Here's Tyler Allemeyer, who has reached twice on errors by the shortstop and the third baseman. 2-1 in favor of the Eagles here in the top of the 5th.
If you can get this guy right here, you're talking about 400 hitters, and go to work on the cleanup hitter, who's, by the way, only hitting 314.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I feel a little better about that.
Heritage has won 7 of its last 9. Started the year 0-5. But a lot of times those records are misleading because they will face competition above their class. In fact, last year, and I mentioned that both Heritage and Covenant squared off in the semi-state finals, neither team reached the tournament with a 500 record.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That one to hit the left field. Chasing Ray back and bouncing up and over the fence. Ground rule double for Tyler Allemeyer. So some good swings here in the 5th inning by Williams, Jackson, and Tyler.
Yeah, Mendez left that pitch out over the plate, and for 2 hitters in a row, Jackson really stung it. Allemeyer did the same thing. And watch this where the pitch location is. It was a breaking ball that just hung a little bit high, and Allemeyer barely missed it. Now that's a shot because, again, the wind is still blowing in. A heck of a hit right there for Allemeyer.
J.P. Olson, RBI situation, 0 for 2. Mendez tiring at all here?
Well, probably a little bit. I think he's frustrated a little bit, too, because there's been things that have really essentially could have maybe gotten him out of an inning or that last situation where the run scored.
Down the right field line, fair ball. Allemeyer will score easily. J.P. Olson in an inning now where Heritage has had a single, a double, and a triple, has taken a 3-1 lead.
Well, you just kind of felt that at some point one of these two teams is going to break out of this. And right now, unfortunately for Scecina, some big hits right here for Heritage Christian in the top of that order. You know, you look at Williams, Jackson, Allemeyer, and Olson, guys that are producing and driving in runs, and then you look at the bottom of the Scecina order where they're having a difficult time just getting hits. Really been the difference in the game.
Yep. Luke Strake steps in, and Strege now placing an at-bat in place of Blake McDonald.
Now, the one thing, we said this at the beginning, and it's been documented pretty well, that if Scecina cannot give up a big inning, and I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 runs, they've been in pretty good shape. This is right now turning out to be a potential big inning for Heritage Christian.
Ball and a strike. Luke is the identical twin with his brother Eli. He's also a member of this team. Luke 2 for 2 the other day against Purdue Poly. The run batted in, a stolen base, and a double. That one gets away for the catcher, Keaton Knowlton. Likely a pass ball. So another man in scoring position for Heritage, and you get the feeling right now they are on the cusp of a big inning.
Yeah, and Olson, I think, or Knowlton, excuse me, just kind of took his eye off that one. I don't believe there was any threat of Olson stealing down at first base. But here's another mistake that may cost you.
3 balls and a strike. This inning began when Ryan Williams tripled to the fence in right field and scored on the same play. Alex Jackson flied out. Tyler Allemeyer doubled. J.P. Olson brought him home with a hit, and now Olson at second base off the pass ball. And runners now for the Eagles at first and second.
Well, you could see the Scecina coaching staff trying to calm him down a little bit. He has now lost the control he had earlier. You notice the fastball he's throwing is really way outside and high. Got to get himself back in order right here before this thing gets out of hand.
So Carson Wilhite now in a scoring opportunity with runners at first and at second. Base runner at second, J.P. Olson and Luke Strege at first, unless they have pinch run for him at this point. And you're allowed to do that, get a courtesy runner in there, and then reinsert a player as the game progresses.
You know what makes this tough, too? I love the balance of Heritage Christian. They got a lot of left-handed hitters. It's hard to throw when you got that much balance.
Runner headed down to third, and he is...
he dropped it.
Safe. First out, now safe. Stolen base for J.P. Olson. Brady Ray questions, though. He thought that he had the tag on long enough. And in the meantime, Luke Strege goes down to second. Well, what is it, 1001, 1002, 1003? We're going to have a conversation as manager Gandalf is hoping for an overrule here.
Well, it's difficult to see. I thought maybe the third baseman, Ray, had dropped it at first, but I think he had his glove and was holding it there between the bag and the foot of the base runner, Olson, and he wasn't even able to get it up out of there.
Yep, that's been out.
So he slid right into the tag. So I think that's a good call.
Third base coach Dan Ambrose now wants an explanation. As J.P. Olson is cut down, trying to advance to third.
Well, let's go back to what we said earlier. When you have just a 2-umpire crew and the angle for the field umpire is not good right there. So his best bet is to go ahead and ask the home plate umpire, what did you see? because there's no way that I can see that from that angle. And I think that's the explanation they're trying to give Coach Ambrose right there.
Almost looked like a delayed double steal because Olesen was advancing. In the meantime, Luke Strega from first to second, as you see the play again, wasn't running nearly as committed. But then as the throw went down to third, he advanced to second without any problems and a stolen base.
Yeah, when you look at it the second time, you can tell the third baseman, he just can't get his glove out of there. And it was a great throw. So I think that's a correct call.
Yeah, good overturn. This one headed to right field. Base hit, run around third. They're going to set him home. Here comes the play at home base, and he is out. Don McKiernan, nice throw to Keaton Nolan, inning over. Wow. So a couple of throwouts here, not only by catcher Nolan, but on a toss by Don McKiernan, and the inning ends. But Heritage scores twice and now leads 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the fifth.
Going into the bottom of the fifth.
Aspen Creek Grill, we are a from-scratch concept with comfort fresh food. You can expect a world-class experience on a great budget. We've got incredible specials, great service. Today's dish that we're going to highlight is going to be our Aspen Blue Sirloin. It is, again, our premium Black Angus certified beef, and we top that with a blue cheese crust. Again, everything that we do here is made from scratch, and it's no different from our steaks. We hand cut all our steaks in-house. So our team back there, it's just an incredible team. Everything that they do, they take so much pride in. They put a little bit of themselves into everything that they do over here, especially since it is a made from scratch concept. We want everybody to come, visit us, enjoy some great food with some great service. Bring your friends, bring your family, come have some great food, have a great time with us with some of the best comfort scratch food.
We invite you to get updated scores and much more. Check out our daily sports page, IndianaSRN. Jim and Troy back with you. You were busy last night with the number 2 and number 3 teams in high school lacrosse. How'd that go?
Tell you what, Cathedral is impressive. They are quick. They're aggressive. They really, as Joey and the crew said last night, they came to play, and they are really good. They're going to be hard to beat when that tournament rolls around. Other than that, having Keith around, he was eating so much popcorn, I didn't even know what else he was doing. So
Strike one to Keegan Ray. Well, you know, our management is tapped into pretty good sport in lacrosse, has it not?
It has, and it continues to grow on both the boys and the girls side. What is interesting is that eventually that's going to be an IHSAA sanctioned sport.
Yeah, it should be.
And Hamilton Southeastern, give them a lot of credit because year in and year out, they're always going to be near that championship level. And they just had a night where they ran into a buzzsaw and they'd get back in it, come back and tie it up. And the next thing, Cathedral come back, score a couple of goals. And just how good they are. And I watched Hamilton Southeastern, I called that game. They beat St. X earlier in the year 8-7.
Wow.
And St. X is running the table right now. That just shows you how good they are down in the Cincinnati area. So it's a great sport, fun to watch. Once you get to understand the rules of it, really good teams.
Big 3-2 pitch there by Ambrose. 1 out in the Scecina fifth to the number 9 hitter, Keegan Ray. Well, you don't want the 9 hitter to start a big rally, and because of that punch out there, that is now 7 in the game for Will Ambrose. And I think manager Dan Ambrose will be pleased the way he has been spotting his pitches so far.
Yeah, and he's getting stronger as we go, too.
Out to left field, Ryan Williams. Max Douglas retired for the 3rd time today. 2 outs in the Crusader fifth.
Now, bottom of the order again. You had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikeouts. You've left a runner in scoring position, and in that, all those at-bats, not a single hit yet. So that's been just again a big key for Scecina offensively.
Don McKinnon to the plate, who was 0 for make that 1 for 2, singled back in the 3rd. Dom has 8 hits, 28 at-bats this year. Batting .286.
Well, and he didn't like that swing, and I don't blame him. He was completely fooled by it, and it was kind of like, well, I started. I might as well continue it. But it wasn't a pitch he really wanted to try to take a cut at.
A lot of room behind home plate, but not enough for catcher Vaughn to draw a beat on it. The count remains 0-2 with 2 outs here in the Scecina fifth.
You know, there's always that room behind home plate. It reminds me of old Don McBride Stadium in Richmond, and the Tigers and the Reds used to come there and play. That thing was huge. Catchers had all kinds of room to go back and get a foul ball.
Fair ball to third is going to be a tough play for Colin Kopka, and likely will go as a base hit, the second of the game for Don McKiernan. And so Scecina remains unretired in order in this game as Dom keeps it alive for David DJ Mendez.
Well, let's see if DJ can help him in his cause here. Down 3-1. You're the number 3 hitter, undoubtedly the best hitter in the team, and they could really use you right now.
Mendez 0 for 1 has actually scored the team's only run as he reached on an error in the first and came home on an RBI double by Brady Ray. Well, not to lament too often Scecina's lack of offense, but again, averaging just 3 runs a game and scoring just 1 so far today. Ordinarily in baseball, if you keep the opposition at 3 runs or less, you got a chance.
You're going to win a lot of games.
Not been the case so far this year, but still a month ago before the high school tournament kicks in for the Crusaders and everyone else in the state of Indiana. Scecina, by the way, will be in the Park Tudor sectional, along with Heritage Christian. That'll begin on May 22nd. It likely will be a lot warmer.
Maybe.
Hopped up. Short center field. And staying all the way with it was Tyler Allemeyer, and the inning is over. Bottom of the order coming up for the Eagles as we go to the 6th.
So we get to the 6th. Heritage Christian Eagles 3. Cedar World Crusaders.
We encourage you to follow us on Twitter at IndianaSRN. Find upcoming games, video highlights, and much more. Follow us now at IndianaSRN.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
Today's game is sponsored by the Morales Group. Our mission is building better futures. One story at a time. We acknowledge the whole person and their individual story. Contact the group at 317-472-7600. Moving on to the 6th we go. Will Ambrose, Trip Vaughn, Colin Kopka. Scheduled hitters for Dan Ambrose and the Eagles.
Well, now is time for Scecina to really shut things down here in the last couple of innings. Can't afford to give up any more runs because now you're down to your last 6 outs and you're headed toward the bottom part of the order. So statistically, which baseball is really big on statistics, you would have to feel that something really big is going to have to happen, but you've got to find a way now to give up no more runs the rest of the way.
Speaking of statistics, analytics has plenty of that. Are you an analytics guy?
You know, I enjoy some of it. I think maybe there's too much of it. I don't care if, my right fielder is 0 for 17 when he jumps over the batter's box or whatever they talk about nowadays. I mean, I love the numbers, but I just don't know that I care that the ball came off the bat at 65,000 miles an hour. It just doesn't matter to me. As long as I get a hit or I get it out of the ballpark, that's all I care about.
Well, Ambrose to start the 6th inning. 0 for 2 is flown out to center and flown out to right.
Does that sound like too much of an old man?
No, not at all. And in fact, the major leagues have been swamped with it, and it may have started with Bill James and Moneyball and what the A's were doing and have been doing for a number of years. Headed left field, and on a dime, Keegan Ray in perfect position to make the out. So Will Ambrose has spread it out. He's flown out the left, center, and right.
Well, likes to share it with everybody. I've got to go back, if I may, just a moment. And again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm an old fogey, but I love pitchers that threw complete games.
Back to Ray in left field again. Shortstop wants to get it and can't do it.
Oh.
Max Douglas came over to try to handle it the last minute in place of Keegan Ray and unable to get it and go for an error perhaps?
I would say so. I know it was a tough play, but once that hits that glove, you had an opportunity to make that catch. As we'll have a pinch runner down at first, you have a chance to make that catch. I think you really need to do so. But if I may, I'm just one of those guys. I love the Bob Gibsons and those guys who would throw complete games. And it was amazing when you look back at those numbers and you can throw 20-some complete games in a season. And now they think if you go 5 innings, they call that a good outing.
Yes.
And I just don't know that I really feel that strong. Now the game has changed where the bullpen is much more important than it used to be. And that's just the name of the game, but I'm just not always a big fan of it.
Well, as you mentioned that, we have a lot of injured pitchers to start the season in the majors. And, of course, the sped-up pitch count or the sped-up time between pitches has been an issue. But one of the managers, and it might have been Aaron Boone, said, the problem is we got everybody throwing hard and maybe a little too hard. And by the time they get to the majors, an injury pretty much puts them into a dilemma, and lost a lot of key players so far.
We have a new shortstop as well. We'll try to pick that one out. Yeah, I think you're right. Kids are throwing so hard these days, and you're up in the 100 now. Throwing 100 miles an hour really isn't that big of a deal, it seems like, for some. But your arm can only take so much after a while, and I understand the investment of pitchers and such that you put a lot of money into them, so you got to be very careful. But then again, what changed so much over the years where guys back in the 50s, 60s, 70s could throw 300 innings and really didn't bother them that much?
Dave Gandalf actually replaced his shortstop Max Douglas after the error with Will Battles. So Battles becomes the shortstop here with 1 out in the top of the 6th in a 3-1 game.
What is that now? 5 errors?
Yeah, and still trailing just 3-1.
Yeah. Well, I always call that kind of fool's gold because eventually it's going to catch up with you. It's like walks. You keep walking people, and you can't do it the entire game and expect to stay in the game.
No. I don't see that very often where a manager replaces somebody who's made an error in the course of the inning, but that's 2 in the game now on Max, and I think Dave had seen enough.
Yeah. Well, give the guy a little credit. I mean, that was a tough play. Everything toward the line, and again, you're fighting the high sky. It was tough.
I wonder if manager Gandalf thought that the left fielder, that should have been his play as opposed to the shortstop.
Exactly.
3 balls, no strikes. Mendez in danger of losing Kopka, the number 9 hitter. He has walked 2 to this point. Strike call, 3-1.
Well, again, you know how big this inning is. You escaped giving up just a couple of runs in the 5th. You don't want this thing to balloon again any higher, and you can let this thing get out of hand knowing that you got the bottom of the order coming up the last couple of innings.
Good bunt. Going to try for a base hit. Can he get it? No. But instead, a runner advances to second with 2 outs. Now here comes the dangerous Ryan Williams. Nice play by the catcher, Keaton Knowlton. But now, considering how Williams has been swinging the bat, you going to pitch to him?
Well, I'm going to pitch to him, but not pitch to him. I want to pitch around him as much as I can. But the only problem is pick your poison. You get him or you get Jackson, who's a 400 hitter. So I guess I'd rather have Jackson than Williams at this stage.
Williams is 2 for 3, has scored 2 runs. Had a triple and then scored on the same play as the infield umpire waved him home. Off the end of the bat toward third base.
Oh,
wow.
My.
Well, home plate umpire jumped on that one immediately, and Dan Ambrose over to the Scecina bench said they missed it by that much.
Ooh.
Little number, too.
Well, I tell you what, though, Ray had to make a quick decision right there whether that ball was going to stay fair or go foul, and fortunately made the right decision just at a split second at the very end.
Brady Ray's the third baseman, and a good one at that. Count no balls, 2 strikes. Mendez looks at the runner at second. And that was certainly a waste pitch there.
You go back to Ray down at third, you have a true roll on turf, but you end up with a dirt line and the grass. That thing could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. 1-2, opposite field hitting into foul territory. A lot of room to run here. That reminds you of the Little League field in Whitestown where the foul territory and the territory behind home plate is huge.
I like that as a player.
Gives
you? Oh, yeah, because it gives you plenty of opportunity to get to a foul ball that normally might have gone into the stands. I mentioned you earlier about McBride Stadium, how big that old ballpark was, and there was just all kinds of room because the way the press box was built back in the 1930s, that they actually at some point moved home plate up even a little bit further that way because the fence was like 410 in dead center field.
Oh, wow. 2-2 pitch, and all 3 pitches that have missed far outside. Trying to get Williams to bite. Count now full.
Well, that was a pitch that Mendez earlier was able to throw for a strike, but now he's kind of lost that a little bit high and outside.
Strike 3 called. DJ comes back with a good punch out. Williams is out on strikes for the second time today. Harris threatens, fails to score. Bottom of the 6th, middle of the order coming up in a 3-1 game.
We really focus on modern application development, DevOps, so automating the whole process of delivering your solution, and cloud architecture.
It's very important for mid to large companies to have cloud partners because you can't possibly have all the talent you need to address the complex ecosystem of the cloud.
We advise them on all parts of their business. And then when things are defined and we see a clear goal, Clean Slate also then goes and does the work.
We have a team that is very passionate about what they do. We love to solve complex problems, and there's a lot of companies out there that will avoid, getting involved in those things, and I think that's why clients like to work with us.
Piper Warehouse is a group of logistics professionals dedicated to working together to provide complete logistics in Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Roll with us. Call 317-396-1023. Jim and Tyler back with you as we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's Brady Ray, Caden Logan, and Henry Weimer as the schedule hitters for Scecina. It remains 3-1 in favor of Heritage. The game approaching 2 hours. Strike 1.
As we said before, Jim, this is the time now where Scecina needs to get base runners, at least at some point, to get back to the top of the order and see if the top of the order can produce runs.
Which is the best part of this batting order. Toward left field and foul. Hit it well. Goes as a long strike, and Ray will come back to home plate, down 2 strikes.
Well, we have seen today where Scecina has hit the ball hard a couple of times and right at people. And so if you're Ray, you're thinking, here, I had that double back in the first inning, got a good pitch to hit right there, and unfortunately fouled by just a few feet.
As one of the team's 3 hits, the other 2 belong to Dom McKiernan. Dominic is 2 for 3 in the game with a single to center and a single to third base. Will Ambrose has gone the distance as pitcher. He has had a strikeout in every inning, and he has 7 for the game. And he has walked but 1.
Right now, I would throw Ray some kind of a breaking pitch being up in the count.
Ouch. Back to the pitcher. Ambrose able to get the out, 1 out. Let's see if he's okay. Pitchers are so defenseless out there. One plate umpire will check with Will. And it's like I didn't even notice I got hit.
I felt it before he did.
Yeah.
That's where analytics would come into me, is how hard that's coming off my leg.
Sure. And maybe it'll sting a little later, but he gets the assist here, 1 out. Caden Logan to the plate. Little number headed toward third base, and Colin Kopka, 2 outs. So 2 up and 2 down now in the Scecina fifth, and Heritage has a chance to do something Troy has not done all day, and that is retire the side in order.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a nice pitch. And here's the other thing about Logan at the plate, being a left-handed hitter against a right-handed pitcher, and I go back to patience again. If you're not hitting really well, even though I might see the best pitch in that sequence, I want to have him throw me a couple of more pitches. Because I think my third time around, I have a better opportunity to know what he might be throwing me.
Weimer to left field, dropping in. Ryan Williams had a look at it as if he wanted to make a dive. Instead, let it bounce up to him. And so with 2 outs, Scecina continues to have the order not retired. 1, 2, 3. And Weimer now brings the tying bat to the plate.
Well, and he's been on base twice, hasn't gotten a base hit yet, but a great time to start right here. Now, on the other side, if I'm Ambrose, I don't really worry about Weimer at first. I don't think he's going to run. I don't think he probably has a ton of speed. As a team, they don't really steal a whole lot. My focus is going to be more on the hitter.
Vaughn had a nice throw down to second base, but with the wild pitch, Weimer able to advance into second. So, scoring opportunity, and their first one they've had, actually going back to the third.
And right now, I'm Coach Ambrose. I tell my pitcher, listen, just attack battles, get him out of here, and let's end the half inning.
Got a chance to do that. Blake McDonald, 2-handed catch, inning over. Scecina threatens but fails to score. Is left on a man in each of the 6 innings. To the final inning we go. 3-1 Heritage Christian.
Going into the final inning.
To you. Standing with us. You are truly making a difference in the lives of our neighbors in need.
Top of the 7th we go. Passionate Care is dedicated to helping you care for a loved one through Indiana State programs. We provide financial compensation. Contact us today, 833-420-6640. Alex Jackson, Tyler Allemeyer, J.P. Olson, scheduled batters for Heritage Christian in the top of the 7th. Try to extend its record to 8-6 on the year and get its 8th win after an 0-5 season start.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, that they went to Tennessee and saw some pretty good teams. And I know a lot of high school programs don't get a chance to go south. College teams always go south and try to get their season in before they come back north. But I think that's a great thing. It's a bonding thing. You spend a couple of nights down there. I know a lot of teams that have a chance to do that. If you got new players, really get an opportunity to know each other, and that's important in sports.
The weather certainly is conducive to baseball. That's the best part of it.
Yes. Speaking of college baseball, tomorrow we'll be in the heartland where we go to Terre Haute.
Rose-Hulman.
Yep.
Down to third base. Brady Ray, high throw, off the base, and reaching on an error is Alex Jackson to start the Heritage seventh, and that is error number 6 on Scecina today.
Generally, you have Mendez at third, and that guy's a vacuum and has a cannon for an arm, and he gets those outs. Unfortunately, Ray made a nice play on the slow ground ball, and I think he probably hurried it a little bit right there on the throw.
Tyler Allemeyer leading off. Heritage Christian getting the leadoff man on board for the third time today.
You know, that college game tomorrow start at noon, and Anderson and Rose-Hulman, 2 teams right there at the top 6.
Nice.
So that's going to be a big game for them tomorrow. We only have 2 weeks left in the college season.
It'll be a fun tournament over in Kokomo, too. That one in the right field. And Alex Jackson will advance to second. That is the 7th error of the game, even though Scecina is down 3-1 and the 32nd error of the year.
Sometimes you're your own worst enemy. And at that stage, I understand a snap throw to first, try to get the runner, had a big lead, but you really, at this portion of the game, could not afford to give up another base runner in scoring position.
Tyler Allemeyer trying to advance him. Allemeyer had a double and scored in the 5th inning. It is 3-1 Heritage in the final inning, unless we play extras.
And by the way, if we do, that's extra pay for us, I understand. So,
no, it's not.
Well,
thanks for mentioning.
We want that on record in case Keith hears it. We can. He's running a softball tournament today.
Yeah. Out in front of the pitcher. Who's going to cover first base, though? Tyler Allemeyer reaches. Well, are we generous and call that a hit?
I would call that a hit.
Okay.
Unfortunately, on the other side, even though Mendez got off the mound in time, the second baseman wasn't coming over. And so that's going to cost him right there. I think this is more of a meeting like, fellas, come on now. We've already committed 7 errors. We're making mistakes we shouldn't be making at this point in the season when you've played 12, 13 games. And we just got to get focused. And I feel bad for Mendez, too, because he hasn't got the run support today. There have been way too many errors, missed opportunities, and he'll end up taking the loss if it ends up being this way. But overall, he pitched pretty well.
And that looks like that'll be it for DJ. Skipper put his hands on him and congratulate him, and Henry Weimer will take over, making his 3rd appearance on the year. Has pitched an inning and 3rd so far, a lot of 3 earned runs and 4 hits. And how about DJ Mendez's performance today?
Well, I feel bad for him because he's their best pitcher undoubtedly, and I'm sure he's frustrated because when you don't get run support and listen, this is a Heritage Christian team that's a very good hitting baseball team, and at this stage you've held them to 3 runs, and I would have taken that any time to hold a team like that to 3 runs, but it's frustrating on the other side when you're unable to get key base hits. You've left runners in scoring position. You haven't given up that big inning like we talked about in the pregame, like we have seen in the games we've done so far this year. So you feel bad for him, but now bottom line is finish out this game, maybe come back and win. Who knows? But you're going to have to put this one behind you, and Mendez will get a throw again. He'll come back and do an excellent job, but you got to find a way to get some hits.
And we mentioned manager Dave Gandolf, 72 years young. Managed and coached 33 years at Center Grove, a couple years at Ritter, and 10 now at Scecina He has just been nominated for the National Coaches Hall of Fame over the last couple of years, and he has over 800 high school victories.
You know, I think about that. How many games that you've gotten on that bus and gone someplace over that many years in 800? I don't know how many games has he lost. I'm not sure, but how many games is that makes you go, wow, I love doing this? 'Cause you have to love doing this.
Might not love it as much today with all the errors, but you're right. They're staying there a third of a century. Runner going down to second base, and they will go and not challenge. So Tyler Allemeyer steals second, and now 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out.
Well, and for Heritage, I don't blame him doing that because they have a chance now to get a couple more runs, and they love to get that going into this bottom of the 7th.
Infield in, change there, ball and a strike to J.P. Olison, who grounded out to first, grounded out to second in the first inning, struck out in the third, and then had an RBI hit in the 5th. Infield in at every position, and that means if you can get some wood on this one, you can spank it through the infield and score a couple.
They did that against Lutheran, had to do it several times, and unfortunately that ball got through a couple of times too.
That one has popped up on the infield, however. 1 out. Will battles handles. Runners stay put. And so with 1 on the inning, Luke Strega will bat for the second time today. Luke walked in the 5th, stole a base.
11.
Well, if Weimer can find a way to get out of this,
oh, that would be big.
The box score itself will be startling when people see it the next day. Having allowed just 3 runs and having 7 errors, that's unprecedented, I would think.
You know, it reminds me of one of the basketball games we did early in the year, a boys' high school game.
Strega to first base. They're going to freeze the runner. 2 outs. Henry Weimer now is an out away from dancing out of a huge jam.
And that would be big. My point was going to be that the winning team had 35 turnovers.
Wow.
I had never seen that in my life, and I'm like, what just happened here? And we're kind of seeing that today, though. Scecina may not win, but it kind of shows you just how strange sometimes sports can be when you look at the box score, like you said, you go 3-1 and he committed 7 errors.
You always ask a coach in basketball, what's the key? He goes, well, least amount of turnovers.
Yeah.
Except in that instance.
Exactly.
It's a big at bat right here as Heritage could break it open, or Scecina will have a chance to tie and win it in the bottom of the 7th. Arson Wilhite is 1 for 2 with a base hit to right. Headed to center field and over the head of the center fielder. It will score 2. Arson Wilhite comes through with a 2-out double. 5-1 Heritage.
Well, unfortunately, at the time that ball was hit, you have your outfield playing a little bit shallow because, again, the wind has been blowing in. And unfortunately, you play that shallow, and Wilhite got every bit of it, and that was a key hit right there.
One of the runs goes as unearned because Alex Jackson reached on an error. And here's Will Ambrose, who's gone the distance at the plate for Heritage Christian. First pitch swinging to second base on 1 hop. Inning is over. Last chance for Scecina. 5-1 to the bottom of the 7th we go.
We'll get to the bottom.
To you. Standing with us. You are truly making a difference in the lives of our neighbors in need.
Don't miss any of the action. Catch the replay on our YouTube page IndianaSRN. Archives are always on the stream. With IndianaSRN, you always have a front row seat. So a change right now for Heritage Christian is Caden Ratliff, who pitched against Covenant earlier in the week, will come on and try to close matters here in the bottom of the 7th for Heritage.
Get an opportunity to get some innings in. Only 4 innings thrown so far. You'll love the idea of getting a pitcher can come in late in a ball game, finish it out, get him some experience, get him some innings in a game like this. So this would be a good opportunity here for this young man.
Ratliff, a good thrower. Probably has some of the better speed of any pitcher on this team at low 80s, and he'll try to get rid of Scecina in order, which has not happened so far. Keaton Knowlton will bat to start the bottom of the 7th. Knowlton, Ray, then to the top, and they'll need a lot of batters to have a chance here in the last inning. Mentioned Dave Gandalf in his long-standing career as skipper of Scecina. They actually made the semi-state back in 2018. First time they'd won a sectional in a quarter of a century.
Wow. That's a long drought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Quite a skipper, though. I'm sure he loves this new field. Strike 3 call. Good start for Caden Ratliff here in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, you look at Knowlton and Ray at the bottom of the order. Now, Ray's not going to be hitting here, but you have 5 strikeouts at 8 and 9.
Number 16.
Yep. Knowlton down 3 times, Ray down twice.
Rylan McGinsey.
So Rylan McGinsey is going to get a chance to hit here. Or the high honor roll at Scecina. No hits and 5 at bats.
You know, I always remind everybody I had a 4.0 in college.
Out of 6, I'll bet, huh?
No, 1 point for every year.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought it'd be better if just added them up instead of trying to, you know.
I'm sure you're better than that because this company doesn't hire people without some acumen.
You would be surprised what they hire.
I didn't say that. I just just try to defend here.
I understand.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Heritage Christian on the threshold of win number 8. And the 3rd victory in just 1 week. Back-to-back strikeouts for Caden Ratliff. And the last hope now is the shortstop.
Got
Check
a
that.
different hitter here, too.
Bryce McDonald stepping in.
Next bat for the Crusaders, number 3, Bryce McDonald.
So McDonald will step in as a pinch hitter with 2 outs in the 7th. Strike 1. Caden Ratliff is not wasting any time out there.
He might have a date for lunch.
Yeah.
Because I'm already 8 minutes past noon. Let's go. He's not a big guy either, is he?
No.
I mean, but he throws hard. And I would venture for the Scecina side, you have a left-handed hitter as opposed to Douglas from the right side. So you're hoping maybe the averages will pan out for you.
To right field could end it. Carson Wilhite hauls it in. Ratliff does the job in relief. And Heritage Christian wins it 5-1. Pretty good pitching today on the part of the Eagles, certainly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ambrose pitched well. I know there's a couple of times early where Scecina had an opportunity to get more than that 1 run, failed to do so, but he pitched well the rest of the way. Mendez, I thought, pitched well, but again, as you've alluded to, Jim, 7 errors are going to eventually catch up with you, and all the strikeouts and unable to get runners on base at the bottom of the order eventually cost you.
So the Eagles now 8-6, and Scecina with a loss at 2-11. For Troy Darengowski, I'm Jim Barber. We thank you for joining us today from Scecina. Again, the final score, Heritage 5 and Scecina 1.
I heard you say that. I know last night he was supposed to put the camera